little box jumps up on your screen there, click the word "Got it." That should clear it out of the way. That's just telling you that we are recording the session. And set up your space as you see here. So take the time to do it because then it just makes the whole class flow really well. You have one chair with the back of the chair facing in like that, another chair on the other side, creating the same situation. And then your third seat chair for sitting goes in between and behind. So these chairs are in front of me. I'm not sitting right in between them. They're in front. And there's enough room for space, but not so far apart that you can't touch it. So take the time, create this little situation, and then the whole class goes really smooth and easy. Start by sitting at the front edge of your seat. Let me mute everyone here. Okay. So we're sitting front edge, which right away starts to train our central upright, our central pillar. So we've got buttock bones plugging down through the chair and secondarily down through our legs. So our legs are kind of keeping us from, let's say, falling forward, but they're not our primary connection to the ground at the moment. When we stand up, they will be. But right now, you want to feel how this central pillar can ground to the ground sufficiently for balance and support through a number of different ways. We could even do it in the handstand, right? We're not going to do handstands today. But the point is, we want to realize that the purpose of, or the important achievement for balance and stability and the safety and agility to move around the world isn't stuck in one particular posture. It's a quality, it's a relationship that you have to cultivate, right? With the ground, with the sturdiness of the ground. So we're finding that here, crown, down through the perineum, that's kind of the general central pillar line. And in order to connect to the ground, we have to be softer, more relaxed. So any tension we're holding, eventually, maybe this is starting to make sense to some of you, but eventually this is the most apparent and obvious thing, that stiffness and rigidity uproots, softness and ease and relaxation grounds, allows for grounding. Whereas at first, we're looking for our stability by holding, grabbing, and clinging. But over time, we start to find way more stability and agility through softening, melting, yielding. So this is the essence of the Taoist thought, Taoist understanding, which birthed Tai Chi, Qigong, Chinese medicine, Feng Shui, all the beautiful landscape art, all the beautiful poetry and philosophy that came out of it is these understandings, these unique insights. So when you are doing your seated meditation at home, which I hope you're doing 3 to 10 minutes every day, a couple times a day if you can just find a moment and calibrate to these ideas of relax, release, soften. To assist us in that process, breathing in through the nose, feel that expansion, and out through the mouth, kind of like a sigh, just all the way to empty. And then you inhale again. Holding full and then exhaling again. Continue that about 8-10 more breaths. Pay attention to the structural, mechanical, muscular movements that the breath creates through your body, how it opens up little nooks and crannies, little mechanisms deep in the spine, deep in the pelvis, deep in the shoulders, deep meaning close to the bone, close to the middle. So the skin is our surface, and we have depth all the way in there. And that's where a lot of this tension and unconsciousness resides, is in the deep places. So by sitting with good zhong zheng or central upright, softening and releasing where possible, and then breathing long, smooth, full, holding. Long, smooth, empty, holding empty. You do this in earnest, with attentiveness, you'll feel this skill. It's a skill you cultivate to influence change. And in my view, this is the key to benefiting Parkinson's and other nervous system and brain body related issues, is reclaiming this master commander state where you're observing, you're dropping what is extra, you're just settling into exactly what is, and then influencing it with subtle shift, right? And telling our nervous system, hey, nervous system, relax, doesn't work quite as well as attuning to the breath and telling the breath to be like you're on a vacation. Big, long, full inhales, relaxed sighs that go out, this sort of clearing. So attune the mind to the breath. The breath becomes this little key to influence heart rate change, nervous system change, which then influences endocrine gland chemistry change through the system. So mastering that takes time, takes regular effort, regular attention. Last 3 breaths. Make each one intensely conscious. Joint mobilization practices. Let me let someone in there. Slide your hands back, elbows back, shoulder blades squeeze back, chest up, chin up, arch the 24 vertebra of your spine. Do the opposite now. Slide the hands forward till the hands pass the kneecaps a little. Elbows are straight, hollow the chest, and drop your head so that you're in spinal flexion. And reverse again. Sliding hands back, elbows back, shoulder blades back, chest opens, chin up, opening. And then sliding all the way forward. We'll do this 3 more times. It's a great sort of illustration as well of what's important in the practice, is not just thoroughly getting to the end or edge, but not rushing to get to these destination points, so that you're oozing, you're sliding the body smooth, so that you're not just adding tension and creating stress and kind of wearing out mechanisms by being relaxed, soft, and smooth. The term in Taoism is sung, meaning pliable, soft, supple, resilient, right? By moving the body with that sung system, you have a totally different effect than if you do the same movements with grip and tension. So it's subtle in the beginning, but it makes all the difference. Now come back to neutral. Rotational plane. Left hand forward past kneecap. Right hand and elbow pull back. Shoulders turn, head turns. Rotate. That's one destination. Now let's get to the other destination on the other side. Slide right hand forward, left hand back, left elbow back. Turn the shoulders, turn the head all the way. And then reverse. Training this movement can save lives when you're backing out of a driveway, backing out of the parking lot at the local supermarket. This ability to wind around and gaze behind you. One of the names for it is the wise owl looks behind, which I think is just kind of cute. A cute little visual. And so don't crank it. When we crank it, one spot tends to move more than the others, and that's not what we want. We want a perfectly integrated use of every part in its appropriate amount. And that is both not injurious, it doesn't injure us, and it also heals us over time when we practice like this. Come back to middle. Now the lateral plane, sideways plane, drop your arms alongside you. A little shift of the weight into your right buttock. Feel that buttock bone. And then let the spine be bendy. Side bend. Lift your left wrist, just floating it up right in front of you. Notice this unique pathway. My elbow kind of chicken winged out of the way, which opened up space for this to come up. And then we let that fall down through there. Lean the other side. The right wrist floats up into that little space. What this does is when it's down like this, it's kind of pulling on the position. But when we get it here, we can really flirt with disaster a little bit. We can kind of tip and play at the edge of danger in our chair. It's a great place to do it. And this helps us find the middle, the navel, low back middle. This level of the body is like the middle of the seesaw that allows the seesaw to completely go all the way this way. Even this foot could come up, right? And then all the way that way. So all this movement, but really just this navel is kind of just hanging out, being a nice pivot point, giving us stability. So if all you did was sit and breathe for a little bit and do these three main exercises, and then come back, hands on your thighs, and just hang out, and then go about your day, you would have loosened things up, you would have calibrated to your middle, you'd have gotten breath, and it could take you 7 minutes. So if you don't do this on a daily basis, I don't know what to tell you, because it's there, it's achievable, and it's effective. So do it and see what happens, okay? Now, arms come down alongside you, hanging. Shoulders, right? Our arms plug into the socket, but what's most important is that the socket is part of the scapula or the shoulder blade. So our shoulder blades are what really move. These things in our back. So shrug up, slide down. Up, down. So we got to have freedom of movement in the scapula. Up, all the way. And most importantly, soft down. So we're not pulling the shoulder blades down. Notice that you can do that. Do this gently, but do it. Pull your shoulder blades down. Pull them down, and notice kind of strains things. So we want them down, but we don't want them actively down. And then just let them hang down. Just let them go. And so then there's this space that's not there if we're pulling our shoulders down or pulling our shoulders up. So let's do 2 more where we shrug, kind of like you're taking a rag and squeezing it to squeeze out what's there that you want to get rid of, the mildew, mildewy water, and then you soften, let them hang super loose. 1 more. Shrug. And down. And then, very importantly, the shoulder blades are the most complicated joint in the body. Our flare. And so when you flare your shoulder blades, look where my arms are. They've traveled forward. I didn't take my arms forward, but because I moved my shoulder blades in this particular way, the arms went floating this way. So do a couple more of those where it's retraction. Notice where the arms naturally go. They naturally turn out and the shoulder blades squeeze back and we open this area. And then relax, they come to this neutral and then we protract. The chest has to hollow, the back area opens up. Neutral, back, neutral. Now we go for the full ride. Protract, keep them forward as you lift, shrug up. Now keep them lifted as you go back. Keep them back as you slide them down and release them to neutral. So that's one. We do it again. Forward, up, over top, back. Stay back as you slide down, under, and neutral. Again, forward, up, over, top, back, and slide. Two more. So remember the term song means that at the end of each exercise we have to have total softness. And then we try to keep some of that softness through the next round so that every round is producing more song, more softness, more suppleness, right? Reverse, back, up, over, forward, down in front, under, and back, over, back, forward, under, back. And if you're doing it right, you're probably hearing little crinkles and crackles and little muscles kind of loosening, little barnacles letting go. So that's when you know you're onto something, when you start to hear the little juicy sounds or like sand or whatever it is. It's like you're cleaning off these extra adhesions, as they're called, like glue, adhesions. And then relax. Bend your elbows. Now this just really opens the space. So notice we got here, and then we can go here. And then down, around in front. When you squeeze in front, your back has to open. Neutral. When we go here, this space in this area has to really let go. The shoulder blades have to feel sort of floaty and free. And then down. And squeeze. Now, pull elbows back, straight back. And then down, forward, right? Forward and up, all the way up. And then forward, down, and back. Down, forward, up. So there's more we do on certain classes. There's more joint mobilizations we do, but this little set we always do because it just gets, go ahead and wrap around, give yourself a big hug. So make sure, like Catherine, you're getting caught like this. Notice how whatever arm is underneath has to go, has to get under the arm and all the way, and here. And so then this opens the back and really closes this space, which then we go elbows straight out. And that opens all this space. And then we switch, which one is below, close that space, open that space. So this is just an important part of Taoist approach to healing, to longevity and all of that, is these mechanisms and interior spaces have to remain pliable. If they get stuck, we got problems, right? And then down and release. So we sort of unpacked this upper body. We've loosened things up. Now a little bit of lower body. Scoot back on your chair. You lift your right knee and flex the foot and pull the heel as if you're pulling in like this, but just do it with your brain. and then push away, and then bring it up, and then set the foot down. Other leg, load, push, load, down. Load and push, load, down. Continue. Load, push, load, down. Now, straighten your right leg, point, flex, point. And invert, evert, tilt. And circles around. Reverse, circle, around. Down. Other leg, foot, point, flex. Invert, evert, the foot tilts a little in, out, in, out, in. Circles. And reverse, circles. And now, scoot forward. So this is as efficient of a routine for joint mobilization as I could distill and still have it be thorough, right? Because we got to hit every mechanism. So now the final one, final two here. Step the feet wider than hip distance so that we can then work the rotations of the thigh bones at the hip socket. So lift your toes, turn on the heels. So now you've internally rotated your thighs, your knees and toes all point in. You're closing the quad or groin area. And then lift your toes and open. So now externally rotating, opening the quad. Closing, opening. Right, so a mechanism that's not being used correctly and thoroughly accumulates rust, accumulates stagnation, becomes dead weight, becomes lack of flow, becomes lack of awareness. And so the Taoist approach is just use all your mechanisms, do all your movements, and keep everything, hunky-dory. Back to neutral. From that same mechanism, hip hinge, bow, sit vertical, and really sit, fold all the way, because we got to get this open. This has to be open or else we got problems. And then sit upright. And then from that same mechanism, lean. And then from that mechanism, sit upright and just flow right through to the fold. So we want unimpeded movement through all ranges of motion. And then you're practicing Tai Chi, Qigong, Taoist movement, suppleness, pliability, resilience, throughness, which is an interesting idea. They have a term, Tong, meaning no obstacle, no impediment, right? Now stay vertical, using everything we just used. Hang the loose arms. Slide your feet back a little bit underneath you. From this quad, from the hips, fold arms, shoulders, and head in front of the ankles, right? You see this relationship I've created here. And then, now I'm ready. I haven't stood up, but my butt's not on the chair. Once I've achieved that, then it's all the way vertical. So that's what we skip. People skip that. And in the same way, sitting down, we forget that if we first hip hinge and then fold at the quad, the hip crease, and let everything be soft and pliable and fold up, now my butt has arrived at the chair. So we're sort of exaggerating the mechanism, right? We're exaggerating by folding all the way over, pouring out of the chair, then rising, and then folding completely back into that almost like a fetal position before sitting. And then once you get good at that, you can have all the important elements and still create still do it a little bit more civilized, you could say, right? Where you're not having to fold quite as much, but when you find that way through, you realize you're still achieving the same no strain on joints, the same elegance in your movement. Is this? But you got to have the appropriate forward pouring out down to the earth. All right, now you keep your chairs exactly as they are. I'm just making room for myself here. So now you got your chair on the right side. Come over to it and stand in front of it. Fingertips touching for safety. Notice your feet. You have more foot in front of your ankle than you do behind. So tip into your toes. And notice you can go more leaning, more diagonal into the front of the foot than you could go back. In the back, we actually move from our belly button middle back, and the shoulders and head kind of stay forward rather than going this way. That would cause falling, right? This would be falling. If our middle goes back, we keep our balance. So rock into your toes, and then back into your heels. Into your toes, heel. Now, toes, stay in your toes, press down through your toes, lift your heels way, way up. Stay in your toes as you lower your heels down, rock back to your heels, and pull your toes up off the ground. Rock forward. Now imagine that someday you'll be doing this with no hands. Now please use the hands on the chair for no injuries, zero tolerance on injuries. But you can see with me, here I'm doing it with no hands. So when my hands are here, I want to be creating the same idea. I don't want to be going like this when I do it, because that's not training the right mechanism. So train yourself that eventually there's a way. So like Gail, notice how when you're going back, you're doing this, you're breaking a certain alignment that we want to be practicing. See how I'm in my heels, but I'm still upright? So be close enough here that you can go back, and you see how there's like a curve to my body rather than this, okay? So let's just do a couple more. We go into the toes and lift. Imagine you might do this without your hands, right? And then down, and then same thing here. You got to find your balance point to where that's better, right? But don't fall down, please. Okay, and then finally, now we do stick our butt back. We place the hands on the back of the chair, walk back, and now we do basically a downward dog. Stick your butt way back. Fold in half at that hip crease, straight arms. So you're stretching shoulders, back, hamstrings. Lift the chest a little bit so you come out of the posture. And then we go right back in for one more round. Stick the butt way back, stretch the legs, stretch the shoulders. And then chest up, walk forward until you are again vertical under your own power. Turn and face forward. Stay on this right side. So this is my left hand, but I'm going to say right because I'm your mirror for these exercises. So you got the chair there if you need it. Now, no hands. Drop your hands. How many legs do you have? 2. Most of us, if not all of us, right? From this middle pivot, instead of using both legs for your stability, which we're all doing now, change so that you're only using your right leg. And so part of that is lateral movement, moving sideways, but it's less than you think because it's only a little bit sideways, and then it's more about softening the joints of your standing leg. So try not to lock them, soften, so that it's like a bed spring receiving body weight. And that's what makes this empty. From your middle, change to the other leg. So change. Remember, it's a little bit of sideways, but mostly it's letting go of the grip in the hip, knee, ankle, foot, and letting there be this chung one, this softening connection to the earth, which then frees this foot, right? And then from your middle, change. When we move from the middle and we're relaxed, the central pillar remains intact. So if I had a cup of tea, I'm not tipping it and tipping it. It's moving as if this central equilibrium is not changing, and yet I'm finding one leg full, other leg empty. One leg full, other leg empty. And the weird thing, until you get it, is that it's letting it go down rather than stiffening to create support. It's softening. Softening down to the earth, which frees this up. So that's it. It's easier said than done, for sure. Now you got your hand near the chair, so when you need it, you use it. Do not fall down. The weight goes through your right leg. Left leg is empty. Now lift the heel and get to the tip of the shoe, the very tip. And then put that heel back down and shift the weight into that leg. And then lift to the tip of the shoe of your right foot and then back down. And then change. Tip of the shoe. Put the foot down. Change. Tip of the shoe. Foot down. From the middle pivot, teacup doing just fine. Now this is where you'll probably need the chair because we're going to go tip of the shoe and disconnect it from the floor. Place the foot back down, no body weight. Change from the middle pivot. Tip of the shoe, disconnect from the floor, reconnect to the floor with no body weight, and then change. This is empty. In its emptiness, it has the power of mobility and essentially levitation. The leg that my weight is going down through is not as light and nimble, but it is sturdy and stable, and then this one becomes movable. And then it's all about changing them, so we're not stuck. Now, hand on the chair, let's go all the way up, as high as this knee can go, and see if you can have a feeling. You see how I'm kind of loose in the hip socket? And then let the leg go all the way down, empty, change from the middle pivot. Now this one being empty, we go tippy toe, lift, come all the way up, and see if you can have a sort of a looseness where the thigh bone plugs into the hip. Rather than it being grabbed onto, have it be loose. That looseness allows it to go all the way down easy. And then we change again. The weight goes down out of the body. This is free and loose. Floats up. Goes down to the earth because of that freedom and looseness. And then the freedom and looseness allows the weight to just go down through it. Now this one, free and loose. Change. Teacup. Just hanging out. No problem. No problem at all. And put the weight in your left leg. Put your right foot in front, heel touching. So we're like this. Now you're going to shift into your front foot and get to the tippy toe of your back foot. And then shift into your back foot, tip of the heel of your front foot. Primary direction is still down. So we're not thinking forward, we're thinking down. And then the body moves forward by itself. Perfect. Down. Down. How do we get down? Soften. Relax. Hard to do. Even if you don't have Parkinson's. And Parkinson's, I'm sure, makes that even more difficult to release. But I've seen it with everyone I'm working with. That power is still there if the mind and breath and correct perspective is trained. This ability to command the body to down-regulate, to release. And just key in on that as a primary skill, essential skill. Now, hand on chair so that you can take this front empty leg and lift. Notice how I didn't bend the knee, I lifted from the hip down. And then we shift, primary direction down. Now this back leg, just from the knee, we do a little flamingo. Touch the toe back to the floor. Shift. The weight going down through this left leg allows this movement to happen no problem. Down. And then shift. This movement no problem. And shift. So being really into the idea of releasing, relaxing, softening, making it easy, rather than grinding harder, working harder. Instead, drop that off. Loose. Smooth, right? Now, hand on chair as needed as we go all the way up, down with the heel touching, shift. And then this back leg, we go knee forward and all the way up. Reach the toe behind, shift back. Up, down, shift. Forward and up, back, shift. Shift. Switching sides by doing a little side step. Shift over, bring that foot in. Put the weight in your right leg, put your left foot out in front, heel touching. Shift. So level 1 is the best place to practice no hands on anything because the heel never leaves the ground and the toe never leaves the ground. We're just practicing full empty, finding the primary direction being down, and that moves us backwards. Down, and that moves us forwards. Like a wheel. This is level 1. You could try level 2 with no hands, but it's a little more dangerous because now we're taking this empty foot and lifting, lowering, shifting. And then we're taking the empty back foot and doing a little flamingo, touch, shift. Gotta wait until it's actually empty so that it can just be like a sitting of the hip crease. And then shift. Then shift. This is level 2, so with hand or not. Eventually you can do level 3, no hands, right? But it's nice to have that chair to give you that psychological, if not mechanical support. And just remember down, down, down. Primary direction is releasing down. Not pushing down, not forcing down. Relaxing down, yielding. Letting go. Which is great news, by the way. Great news when you find it. Makes everything easier. Nimble. And switch sides. Side step. Set up the same exercise. The weight's in your left, your right foot is out. Now, we shift, get to that tippy toe, step that foot, the heel is touching, and then shift one more time. And then we go back. Shift, step, shift, shift. Wait for it to be empty and feel how stepping an empty foot is the easiest thing in the world. Stepping a not empty foot takes all this effort and is super awkward and dangerous. But when you truly have one full, one empty, this foot is just free. And then now it's free. You just focus on this idea. Separate empty full, separate empty full. Now we go level 2. Use the chair for this as needed. Lift, lower, shift, and this back foot, as if something's on the floor, you need to pick your foot up, float it over, and set it down all while still empty, and then you shift. You do flamingo, touch, shift, and then it's as if that same thing's on the floor. You got to come up, tuck, reach, shift, straight leg lift, lower, shift, over the obstacle, shift, flamingo, shift, over the obstacle, up, tuck, reach with no body weight. That's kind of the money spot right here in this exercise. Usually we get pulled back with the leg, so put it there with no weight so that you can then shift, lift, lower. And then finally we just go level 3 all the way up, down, shift. Then we go heel, knee, foot, down, shift, knee, toe, shift, up, tuck, reach, shift, up, down. It's just exaggerating the movement, which frees up, which limbers that dead weight feeling. That feeling of dead weight in the body from stiffness. We got to polish that out if we want to feel this springiness again. And we switch sides. Level 1. So we go weight in the right leg, left foot in front. Shift, wait for it to be empty, step the empty foot, shift. Shift back, step the empty foot, shift back. Primary direction is down, down. So isn't that good news that all you have to get right is the down, and you got to move 6, 8, 10 inches forwards, backwards. It works sideways. It works with going upstairs, downstairs. You just have to get this soft plugging back in to the earth. Let's go level 2, lift and lower. So it's the down that allows this. The down allows this safe step over the obstacle. The down allows free and easy. Down. So just focus on down. We're so often holding up. Release down. When we release down, it doesn't mean we lose integrity of structure. So that's the importance of not being slouchy. Because when we're walking around slouchy and we try to relax, we're actually relaxing deeper into cramp. But if we're upright, then we relax. We have a different quality altogether. There's the saying, as if suspended by a string from heaven in Tai Chi. So this tip-top crown of your head, as you relax everything down, see if you can feel this point at the very top that has an upward buoyancy. That doesn't mean you're pushing it up. It means when you relax, the net result is an upness, a buoyancy up. Now let's go level 3. Knee, down. Shift, keep that looseness down, buoyancy up, heel, knee, foot, down, shift, knee, back. Down allows for the up. The down allows this. Down. Move to the left side of your space. Turn, face downrange. You want to have a runway. Level 1. Empty your left foot, put it in front. Shift, step, shift, step. Just put into practice what we just did is casual, loose, easy, cruising forward, and then we go backward. You just shift, step back, shift, step. Going backwards, just be extra careful, obviously, not to lean back and not to get pulled with the foot. That's usually what happens. We're sort of glued together. You have to empty, step that foot while still empty, and then you decide when it's time to pour the weight. And now this one's empty, so it can step, and then you decide, pour the weight. Empty foot step, pour the weight. Let's go forward. Same idea. Empty foot step while still empty, and then pour the weight. Step, pour the weight. Step, pour the weight. And eventually you just cruise. Eventually you just go. You just stay relaxed. You trust in the ground. You trust in softness. But at first you got to break it into its pieces. All right. And then one more of those, but this time if you can, remember you got your chairs there for safety. Up and over. Shift. Up and over. The heron walks through the marsh without trying to disturb the fishies that it might want to eat. So that means the foot you're stepping cannot go splash. If you've ever watched it, they enter the water really softly, almost without making a ripple. And then they change the weight to that leg and they bring this one up and they're observing, and then when it's time to move, they plant it down, shift, and at no point are they not grounded. So there's no danger of falling. Now, we're back at the starting gait. Turn and face forward. Put the weight in your left. Right leg empty, step out, in. So the important part here, take your secret sword. So you take your pinky and ring and you sort of put the thumb over it, and you got these two guys. So it's like our Tai Chi pointers, right? Now, we got our qua, so genital area in the middle, and then the inguinal crease on either side. So place your hand, your point, right up at the top where your leg bone is in the hip socket, and there's this little sort of sensitive point there. So lightly touch that point. And when this is the qua, or one area of the qua. So as you step out, you should feel this point that you're touching open. And then when you step in, you feel it close. So just lightly touch it, feel the tissue, feel the joint relationships there. Out and in. Now, I'll use Catherine as an example. Catherine, you didn't open here because you stepped, but you let your body weight go with you. And you did it better that time, but you still allowed a sort of lurch there. That was better, exactly. So you want to start to find the qua, open, close. So how quickly I can do that is determined by the fact that it's empty. I didn't go, I'm not bringing this clumsy weight around with me. So find that freedom. The other important point with this exercise is when you step out, only step as far as you can get your heel also on the ground. Because very often people do this. They turn the leg out, which doesn't really open the quad, just rotates the leg. So keep your foot basically pointing straight ahead, step out, and get your heel to touch the ground as well. This heel touching the ground, qua opens. Okay, close, open, close, open. Now, keep that foot out there, close your right qua, open left qua by keeping that heel down. Don't let the foot come up and the qua stay closed. Keep the heel down and open that space. And then shift back. Close the left, open the right. Close the right, open the left. So if you're a Bay Area resident, you know how valuable real estate is and the exorbitant cost of real estate. But we are finding the most priceless real estate that you cannot buy with money. Interior space. Interior real estate. That if I don't have it, then I'm stuck moving around my life, awkward, able to fall. But if I have that space, all of a sudden there's all this freedom of movement, right? So that's what we're working on. Real estate, basically. Now, stay in your right leg, left quad open, in, out. When you bring it in, I want feet touching. In, out. It should be a challenge to your balance. Eventually it isn't. Eventually it feels great, but we want to be able to go all the way out, all the way in. And then finally, bring that left foot in, feet touching. Now, quads are both closed. Change the weight to only the left leg so that your right foot could do this, but you don't have to do that. And then change again. So this one's free. So this trains us the middle pivot, belly button, lower back, and down, so that this can come up, down. So this can come up. The only way to do this when you're hemmed in like this is to find the springiness, the softness, because there's no room to move laterally. So we have to find down. Down. So find that quality, that internal mechanism, that internal space. Now side walking. Put the weight in your left, step the right, shift to the right, step the left, shift into the left, step. So we're moving to the right, down, shift, other way, out, shift, in, shift, out. As opposed to there and back again. And those of you that know the bear washing pause, start to add that. We work on this in the Friday class. So this is our first advanced Tai Chi move that combines the work of the Friday and the Monday class. All it is, it's the same technique in the legs, shifting, stepping while empty, shifting, but I'm adding turning at the middle pivot and aliveness through the hands. Called the bear washing pause. Washes his paw this way, washes his paw this way, step. The hands turn so that it's brush knee, sweep leg, step. Shift and turn, brush and sweep. And finally, come stand in between your chairs. Change the weight to the right leg. Left leg. Empty right. Turn the right foot out. Shift into the right leg. Turn your body to face the right, so you quarter turn to the right. Then shift the weight into the left leg again and turn your right foot out again. So you got this little setup to then shift and turn in the rotational plane and keep your middle. Remember the importance of down. So it's going down through the left that frees up my right foot safely to turn out. And then it's going down through the right that turns me and allows my left foot to come around. And then down through the left to free the right foot to turn. Down through the right to bring it around. Let's go around one more time. Down through the left, freeze the right foot, shift, turn. Down through the left to free the right foot so you can turn the right foot out. And then just shift and turn. So if you're having trouble with this, just go back to this idea of the central pillar and then the relaxing to each leg, and it just turns out. Right? It's empty, it turns out. We don't have to lurch the body, and then you just change the weight. So just make it very casual. Everything casual. And as you're facing forward, go the other way. So you empty the left foot, turn it out. And I use the term premature stepping. Premature stepping is what gets most people in trouble. You're not taking the time enough to actually separate full and empty. Because once I've separated right leg full, left leg empty, then it's not an effort of any kind to just turn it out. But if I don't do that, then it's this weird, awkward, lurchy, dangerous move. So it's this unseen practice of relax through the right to free the left, then turn. And then it's down through the left and not through the right anymore. That allows it to come around, and then down through the right so the left is not being used so that it's ready to turn. And then down through the left so the right foot. So you got to discern full and empty completely. Go around twice if you haven't. Casual. Relax. Smooth. Slow is smooth. Smooth can then become fast. But it has to be smoothed out first. So you're smoothing these pathways, these methods. Okay. Hands together. Rub the palms. Rub the back of one hand. So again, this is a very efficient, the most efficient self-massage that finishes the practice nicely. Of course, there's a whole exhaustive routine, but for our purposes, the qua, very important. So on either side of genital area, right in that crease, have a soft open palm, and then go up and down all the way to the top of that crease, all the way down, with the idea to disperse wherever it's jammed. So you're just promoting relax, right? And then we have hip flexors, the top of the thigh, right up in this little bundle. We go out and in. And then we go around tailbone, another place where things get jammed up. So we're just promoting open flow. Up onto the low back, another area that needs it. And then, like we did our squat, the booty goes back, sink, sweep the hands down the outside of the legs, around to the inside. As you stand up, just sweep the hands up the inside, past the groin to the navel. Now let's do that again. Qua. Hip flexors. Sacrum. Lumbar. Outer legs as you sit, sweep down. Inner legs as you stand, sweep up to belly button, which is again the nexus point. One more time. Qua. Hip flexors. Sacrum. Lumbar. And then finally, up the outer, turn. Down the inner, off. Turn. Again, same arm. Up the outer, down the inner. Up the outer, down the inner. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Other side, up, down, up. Yang channels, yin channels. Yang, yin, let your weight shift just a slight amount into the toes so your heels are light. Lift lower, lift lower, lift lower, bounce. Be so loose that the little small little bounce you're doing creates ripples through the body. And just feel all the little nooks and crannies where it could be glued or barnacled or stuck. Just letting go. Loose, loose. And then we close with wings. Roll. Fold over top. Settle, settle, settle. Right down to the middle of the middle of the middle. The belly button, lower back. The place right between belly button and low back. That's where the mind settles. It's like the nest, the battery. And so, Catherine, notice this as opposed to this. We want this, right? This is stuck, 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 stuck. This is, soft, relaxed. And then we close each practice by sealing 1, 2. And then the Taoist bow. Makes a little yin-yang looking symbol. So you would just go. All right, have a wonderful week. If there are any questions, comments, insights, as Gail calls them, if you had any Tai Chi moments where you recognize the principles in practice in your daily life, please feel free to share.